Hey everybody, I am so excited today to show you a video on how to do the reverse masking technique. And I'm going to be featuring Stampin' Up's Rustic Crate Bundle, the deckled rectangle dies, and then I'm also going to pull a sentiment from the So Sincere stamp set, which is a really great set of sentiments for all year round. And we are going to start with that deckled rectangle. I'm taking kind of a little bit of a narrow one. I would say it's the one, two, three. I think it's the fourth smallest. And I die cut that out of a piece of cardstock. Any color will do. And then I'm going to just tack this down with a little bit of adhesive. And by that, I'm just putting two little touches of some seal, and then I'm gonna touch it on my shirt. I got a shirt inside here. Just, tap it on the girls, make sure there's a little lint on there, and that way it won't stick permanently to your cardstock. So now I placed this down onto a piece of very vanilla cardstock that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inch. Now I'm going to use my blending brushes and a couple of colors. I'm going to take some Lost Lagoon and some Pretty Peacock to do the reverse masking. So we're masking off an area, and oftentimes when you regular mask, you would mask off an area and then stamp behind it. Okay, that's kind of the basics of masking. But in this case, what we're going to do is mask off this area and then color that area. So I'm going to take some Lost Lagoon ink to start with, and I've got a blending brush here, so I'm going to pick up some of that color. Now I want to do kind of an ombre effect where it's lightest at the top and darkest at the bottom, so I'm going to start in the middle with my color because it's darkest when I first get the ink off my ink pad, and then I'm just going to kind of slowly go around. Okay, inking all of that up, and you can see it's darker right here. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process. This time I'm going to start on this side where I put that color down, and then I slowly work my way around. And if my camera's jiggling, I'm sorry. Okay, so there we go. We've got a good layer of color down. I think I'm just going to repeat this once more on each side to make it a little bit more intense, the color that is. And once more. This also kind of depends on how well inked your ink pad is when you do this. So if it's juicier, obviously, you probably don't have to do this as much. But there we go. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm going to repeat this process, only this time I'm going to use Pretty Peacock, the darker color. And we want this darkest at the very bottom. I'd flip this around so the top is now the bottom. You get it? So I'm going to go ahead and just start at the bottom, and then I'm going to work my way up where it gets a little lighter. Now we want pretty intense color here at the bottom, so we're going to kind of go for it. And then the colors in the middle are going to blend. And depending on what colors you use, these colors are, pretty similar, so they're going to kind of seamlessly blend together. But if you were doing like reds and pinks or something, you might get a third color in the middle, or maybe like yellows and oranges and reds, or like yellow and red, you'd get orange in the middle. You get what I mean. Okay. So I think we're pretty good here. We've got a nice gradient from light to dark. And then when I take this piece off, oh, isn't that cool? So we've got this beautiful gradient of color. Now, what are we going to do with this? I wanted to take and do a little stamping. So on a scrap of some vanilla cardstock, let me just grab my scrap here quick. I'm going to stamp two things. I'm going to start with my crate from that Rustic Crate bundle. I love this bundle because there's kind of a little bit of everything in there, and you can fill your crate up with whatever you want. Okay, so I stamped the crate itself in some early espresso ink, and then I will die cut that in a minute. But I'm going to hold my early espresso out because I also want to stamp this little fall bouquet, so to speak. And we've got some flowers, we've got some pumpkins, and some corn. So now what I want to do is color this in. So I'm just going to close up my ink pads quick so I don't have any problems too late. Maybe I'll clean up myself quick. Oh, goodness. Nothing a baby wipe can't fix. Okay, so I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends to color this in. And I'm going to start with my pumpkins. And we're going to do a pumpkin pie pumpkin, because of course, what color do you do pumpkins in but pumpkin pie? So I'm going to do pumpkin pie, and then I'm going to do some Cajun craze. So I'll start with my darkest marker, and then I'm just going to kind of color on some of these little lines for shading. Okay, and then I'll do the light pumpkin pie right over the top. And I always like to blend through everything that I've colored so I get a nice gradient of color. And I'm being a little careful. There's lots of little areas here, and so I just want to make sure I don't color in something I'm not supposed to, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You can always add more color in later if you need. All right, then I'm going to use, like I said, some Cajun Craze. Again, I'll start with the dark. Color, color, color. So I'm just kind of putting darker color where there's some shading lines. And then blending it with my light. Now my Cajun Craze is one of those colors that I feel like the darker color is a little bit brighter, and then this lighter color is a lot earthier, but I do like the result at the end. I think it looks really nice. It definitely fits the kind of earthy colors I'm going for with this fall bouquet of goodies. Okay, we got that. Next up, I'm going to do my corn. I live in Iowa, where it is corn season, corn harvest and soybean harvest time. So if you drive through, you see lots of combines in the fields these days, and it is definitely harvest time. So I just did some areas with my dark, and then I'll go over the rest with my light Daffodil Delight. Okay, and then I'm also, as long as I'm here, I'm also going to do one of these flowers. Now, I don't know if these are sunflowers, they could be, or they're mums, or something else. I don't know. But I'm going to color one of them yellow. So there again, I did my dark first, and then we'll blend out with the light. Oh, goodness, I love to color. It's so fun. I think the only thing better than coloring this with blends would be watercoloring it, which I considered doing, but ultimately I decided to do just Stampin' Blends because I do like my blends. They are definitely fun to play with. Okay, I also want to put the centers. I'm going to do some light pecan pie in these centers of these flowers. And that's just a nice, beautiful color to put in the middle. Okay, then I'm going to do some greenery. And for my greenery, I'm going to do 2 different colors of greenery just so that there's a little bit of difference. I'm going to do Granny Apple Green for the leaves on my 2 sunflowers, or whatever flowers these are. Okay, so I'm going to put down a little dark Granny Apple Green, and then we'll go over the top of it with our light Granny Apple Green. So I'm using all kinds of blends. Now you could definitely do this in fewer colors than what I'm using, but I thought it would be fun to kind of really add some pretty colors. Now I've got some really awesome finishing touches to this card too. So if you think, oh, she's done coloring, I'll just skip the rest. There's way more awesome stuff coming. Okay, then I'm going to do Old Olive for the greenery on my corn. So we'll take, and these are kind of done in sections. So I'm going to try and keep in mind where my light is coming from as I color these in, and kind of put the dark on the side away from the light, and then the light color on the side facing the light, if that makes sense to you. This is not a huge area, so if you don't have incredible blending on here, not to worry. Okay, there we've got that. Now, what I wanted to do at this point was really make this card awesome. So I grabbed my Berry Burst, and I'm going to do this last flower in Berry Burst to really just kind of punch things up. And I think you'll have to, well, I hope you'll agree that this was a really cool choice. You could absolutely do yellow if you wanted, or you could choose another color. I also considered doing some Lost Lagoon or Pretty Peacock for this flower, but I really wanted it to kind of pop and stand out. And I thought that the Lost Lagoon and the Pretty Peacock would just kind of meld into that background that we created. So that's why I chose these colors. And then, of course, we'll blend with our light. And, oh, this is so pretty. I really, really love Berry Burst as a fall color. I've been kind of using it a lot lately, and it just makes me happy. It's just such a nice, beautiful color. You know, I was a little sad when they retired Rich Razzleberry, but man, bringing Berry Burst back was for sure the right choice. So I really liked that option. Okay, so we're about done. And look at how beautiful that is. Okay, now I'm going to die cut these two pieces. And this is what I end up with, my crate and my bouquet, so to speak. All right, now I wanted to add a sentiment to this. So I was thinking that So Sincere set is really nice, and there's a lot of really wonderful sentiments in there. So depending on what you might need, you can kind of choose something, but I'm going to stamp in Early Espresso. Hope you're feeling better soon. And that was a little crooked, but that's okay. Now I'm going to take this up a notch because I really like the look of this, but you know what would make this even better? I wonder if you know. What if we embossed it with the Distressed Tile embossing folder? And look at how cool that is. I love that extra touch. So I decided to do that. Now, as I was working to choose a color for my card base, I kind of ended up on the Pretty Peacock, and I thought that looked great. But when I was putting my card together, my sample, I thought, gosh, this is, again, it's just a little flat, you know, like it just doesn't pop the way I was hoping it would when I put that on there. So what I decided to do is take a 4 by 5 1/4 very vanilla panel and throw that in, and look at that. I think that just really adds a nice pop to my card. So we'll adhere these two layers together and then adhere them to our card. And I think this just makes such a fancy layer to my card. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this up on here because everything's better popped up. I think you guys know that if you've been watching me for very long. I am all about the dimensionals. They just look good on cards. This is how you can tell, or one of the ways you can tell this is not just your regular old store-bought car. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to add, like I said, my 2 pieces here. So I'm going to take and put this on. Now, when I was choosing my, when I was choosing the size that I was going to use for my mask, I'll show you this. I did a bigger one at first. This was my bigger one, but it was just a little bigger than my crate, and I thought that felt weird. Plus, I wanted to see a little bit more of this, so I went down one size of rectangle, and now my crate is just a little bigger than the rectangle, and I really liked the look of that. I thought that was really nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that down, and then, of course, we're gonna pop up our beautiful fall stuff. I always like looking at the back of things that I've done in Stampin' Blends because I think they look so pretty as well. Okay, so there, that looks great. Now, again, we need some finishing touches. So first finishing touch is we're going to take and put some clear Stella on our flowers because I think flowers should always sparkle. And I think that just adds a nice touch. And then we like having sparkle all over things, so let's just, I'm smacking my clear Stella on here, and then I get a little spritz of sparkle all over the whole thing, which looks great. I also want to repeat that, and you can really choose a lot of different colors. You could do Pretty Peacock, you could do Early Espresso, really anything. I'm going to go with Pretty Peacock. So I just did 2 spritzes. Don't get carried away because a little goes a long way, and sometimes you don't see them right away, but I love the look of that. And then just a couple more finishing touches. I thought it would be great to take some ribbon and add some ribbon to this card. So to do that, I'm going to take my, this is Lost Lagoon, and I'm just going to tie a nice bow. And I love this because it's kind of naturally looking. I don't know. I think it'll look great. Let's even this out just a touch. And I'm going to put this on. Now I want to make sure this sticks pretty well to my card. Sometimes glue dots don't quite do it. So I'm going to put a little Seal Plus on here. And then I'm going to just tack that down on the Seal Plus. And then I feel pretty confident that it's not going anywhere. All right, my last little touch is to take some of our sparkle dots. Oh, these wonderful gems. They're not really gems, but they are gems of embellishments, if you know what I mean. They are so cute, and they go really nicely with this card. So I'm just going to put a few of these on here, and they just add a nice little extra sparkle to our card. And maybe another one up there. And look at how gorgeous that is. Oh, I hope you loved this project so much. Now, all of the supplies to create this are in the description of this video. And of course, if there's any of these that you would like to purchase, I would be so grateful for your business. That just means the world to me. And you can shop the links in the description of this video or head to my blog, thecreativitykave.com, for more information on this project and tons of more inspiration. Thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. I hope you loved this project again. And if you could give me the thumbs up, that would be so awesome. I'll see you all soon. Happy stamping, my friends. Bye-bye.